Hi there, welcome back to another watercolor video. Today I'll be showing you a little bit of the abstract floral piece that I did last week, and this is not really a tutorial. I just wanted to show you some new watercolors that I picked up the other day, and this is called the MIJELLO Mission Gold. Is the artist quality watercolors, and through this painting I wanted to show you how transparent these colors are, and they stay vibrant even after they dry. And that really surprised me, because most watercolors, they just dry lighter than what you had initially thought it to be. So these kind of surprised me, and I was really excited to share this one with you. And these come in 105 colors, and I got the set of 37 colors, I think, or 36 colors, and they came in this palette. It is a box set, and I picked it up at a good price. And if you're really on the market looking for some watercolors, then these would be a really good purchase. And even if you don't want to start with such a large set, you could always get your 3 primaries and try them out. These are some of the pieces that I did with this set of colors, and you can see how vibrant they remain even after they have dried. So yeah, so through this floral piece, actually it's not really completely floral, at the same time it's not totally abstract. I just wanted to splash some color and pigments and show you how well they disperse when you're working wet on wet, and also how vibrant and how transparent they are when you layer them wet on dry or even wet on wet, how well they mix. So I started with this block. Today I'll be using a watercolor an Arches block, and by block it just means that it's glued on all 4 sides, which makes it easy. Then you don't really have to tape your wet your paper, or you don't really need to prepare your paper before you start painting. So yeah, so I just wet the paper. Because I needed a border, I added a bit of plain painter's tape, and that's it. I set to work. I added a lot of pigment, as you can see. So I will be back in a bit and explain a little more about what I'm doing. So to begin, I started with wetting the paper, and then I started by adding pigment to paper with no predetermined design in mind, totally abstract. I just wanted to put in a wash of color, and here I'm using translucent orange and ochre pink, and I'm also using a mop brush this time, because the mop brushes are made of squirrel hair and they really hold a lot of water. And because they hold so much water, I don't really have to mix my colors on the palette, which is the technique that I'm most comfortable with. And I just pick up my colors neat, and I add them to paper, and because my brush is so wet, the colors just get diluted. So I don't really necessarily, I'm not really putting a big blob of color on my paper. So that is what you see me do there. I just go to my palette, pick up my color, and because my brush is wet, it just gets dispersed and gets a little bit diluted when I put it on paper. So that's what you see me doing at this stage, and after this I just let it dry completely before I go to the next stage. So once my paper was totally dry, I went back and I started working on the next layer. For this, I just dampen the area that I will be working on, and then I go back with the same technique, pigment, neat from the palette, and I go and I added, because the paper is damp, the pigment kind of disperses, but not too much like the first layer where the entire paper was damp. Here, since I'm just dampening parts of it, it just disperses and the painting is under your control, and that way you'll be able to judge how far your pigment disperses. So that is what you see me do here, and at this point now I'm trying to carve out a floral pattern there. and this could be I'm trying to read shapes. After the first layer, the painting kind of dictates to you on the subsequent stages. You really, unless you have put in a drawing and where you stay within the lines, which I rarely do, with this kind of approach to a painting where you don't have a predetermined design in mind, or neither am I referring to a photograph, I just let the painting dictate to me. So after I had put down the first wash, I began to see a big open flower there, something which had bloomed completely. So with that picture in my mind, since I didn't have a reference photo, with that picture in my mind, I began to work on it. And the way I do it, I try to carve the shape out from the base wash, if you may, and that I am doing by doing negative painting. This is what is called negative painting, where you begin to see shapes rather than the positive. You concentrate on the negative. So the positive would be the pink flower, but the negative would be everything around it, and I'm now trying to carve the flower out of the background. So the way I do that is to immediately add my darkest dark contrasts, and that approach kind of helps me. I don't know, there might be a million other ways to do it, but this is the way, since I'm totally self-taught, this is the way I do it. If I want to carve something out, I just start by adding my darkest darks immediately against the lightest of the lights. That sharp contrast makes your lights stand out. I'm hoping I'm making sense here. Okay, so that's what I'm doing here at this point. You'll be seeing me do that. I'm just using a little bit of sap green here, a little bit of yellow gold, and I think I also added a little bit of cobalt blue. And that's what you see me just mixing my greens there. That's a burnt sienna too. Burnt sienna adds a real big punch to your painting, and I love to use some of it in almost all of my works. So yeah, so see, as you can see right there, immediately it carves out as though there's a petal there. The greens, because the greens are darker, it starts to carve out the shape. And there you can see me add a little bit of the darker, that's totally neat pink, that's opera pink, and immediately I go back with the damp brush and I soften the edges just so that I don't have any of those hard edges if I don't intend to have them. Then at this point you'll be seeing me use two brushes simultaneously, and that's again because I don't want to waste my pigments. I just keep a damp brush with me and I use that to soften the edges instead of dipping my major brush, the primary brush, into water again. So after having left it to dry again, completely, thoroughly dry, I am now going with the third layer, and once again I'm now trying to fill in with the darks, the darker pinks. So for this I have used a little bit of pink, and I did use a bit of crimson there, I think, and so I'm now kind of finishing this piece, and for finishing it I'm now trying to look for details that I could add, shadows where which might bring the flower a little bit forward, and I'm just trying to fill in all the details. For that I have used these pinks to add more petals or maybe layers of petals there, but not necessarily trying to make it look like a realistic flower painting. I'm still trying to go with the abstract flow and just filling in with the darks. So at this point I'm now trying to balance this whole painting, and since there was so much of dark on the right side, I was trying to balance it with a bit of the same on the left, and I'm just trying to finish it in terms of balancing the picture, adding a little bit here and there, but not really trying to overwork it, because this is a point where I generally tend to overwork my painting. So when I see that most of my what I think to be a good balanced painting has been accomplished, I usually just let it be, and then I just step back, leave it to dry completely, and perhaps even leave it as is or go back with a few final details. But for the most part, at this is the point where I just let it be. Added my shadows there, and for the shadows, if you can see, I just mixed in that's one thing I think I should have said. I mixed my pink with ultramarine blue, and the concentration is all that is needed. More pinks or less blue, that will bring you your perfect shadow color. And so yeah, so that's exactly what you see me doing here. And you must have observed that I did change brushes there. I moved to a smaller and a finer brush, that would be a number 4. So I'm looking to complete this painting. And here I'm adding a little bit of the splatter there. It just improves my painting by leaps and bounds when I add splatter. So you must have seen that in almost every piece that I do, that I paint, I always add some splatter. Especially when you add splatter to wet paper, it disperses on its own, and it gives you a new it's something totally new. I mean, unexpected surprises, which is happy accidents, if you may. And I really like that. So towards the end of a painting, I normally do some kind of splatter. And I must really apologize for the light there. The sun was playing hide and seek, and I sit by a window. And I think for the most part it was okay. But now I think it's playing hide and seek. So I really apologize for the light. So there we go. I'm almost reaching the completion of this particular piece. I hope you enjoyed this. This was slightly different from what I usually show you. And if you're on the market, don't forget to check out these colors. They're really brilliant. And here are some of the other pieces that I have done using the very same set. And I really love them. So I hope you do too. Thank you so much for joining me today. See you soon then. Bye-bye.